Let's go to Jonathan Davis, economist and wealth manager. Hello, Jonathan. Good morning.
Good morning, Vanessa.
I mean, so, I've been trying to say Happy New Year, but it's a little difficult under the circs. Do you think that this VAT increase is horrible but necessary?
It is definitely necessary in the short term, in the sense that the government needs to raise some money. It could have raised other taxes. It could have cut other public spending. But, they've got to do something, and this is what they've decided to do, to answer that specific question. I think it's going to be a red herring, however.
Why?
Yeah, because many commentators are saying that it affects, or it's going to impact on the poor more than the wealthy. I'm just not convinced by that. There's no VAT on food. There's no VAT on home heat and light. There's reduced VAT, and that's unaffected by the change. There's no VAT on children's clothing. In other words, a large part of people, lower earners' spending has no VAT or is totally unaffected by the changes today. And when you look at the higher value items, I don't know, a £400 television, for example, it's going to go up to £408. Is that really going to affect people's decision to buy? I don't think so.
What about this so-called feel-good factor, which might well immediately, as 2011 set in, have been substituted for a feel-bad factor? We're told to tighten our belts. We're told that VAT's gone up. We're also facing, as you know, fare increases in London across the board, and the congestion charge has gone up, and petrol's very expensive. Do you think that's going to stop us spending money, even if it isn't the extra £8 that does it? It's going to be the general fear factor that does it.
Oh, absolutely. The general position of the economy, as I said before on your show, is absolutely and utterly dire. And taxes in general are rising, not just VAT, but also tuition fees, for example. Public sector spending is falling. You've been talking about inflation of transport costs, which is massive. Whatever the vice chairman was saying earlier, the increase in transport costs is massive. Increase in fuel costs. If anyone's gone to their petrol pumps recently, they're now paying $1.30, $1.40 a litre. Unemployment's rising, house prices are falling. I mean, I could go on and on. The economy is in a dire state. We are in depression. And one of these days, politicians and other economists will get real and tell it as it actually is. There's not much feel-good factor out there at all. The VAT change is yet another change, along with for example, housing benefit cuts, public sector cuts, and all those issues, tuition fee rises, and all those issues that you've had on your show over the last year or so. It's all part of the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that it all pales into insignificance, the £850 billion that we gave to the banks a couple of years ago. If we hadn't given all that money to the banks, then we wouldn't be talking about VAT increases today. You wouldn't have been talking ad infinitum about tuition fee increases. We wouldn't be talking about transport cost rises, because they would be funded. We just gave loads of money to the banks.
Jonathan, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Time on BBC London 94.9 for the news, the travel and the weather at 10 o'clock.